Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Thankful Thursdays. I'm Linda, the scrapbooking photographer, and today I am joining in on a couple of hops. One is Thankful Thursdays, and the second one is to celebrate 2,000 subscribers for Kay's mum, who is also known as Jennifer. I will put a link in the description below through to her YouTube hop and the playlist and all the other relevant bits of information. Jennifer has made a lovely sketch for us this month to use as part of her celebration. And I just think it fits really well with what I wanted to do this week for Thankful Thursdays. So just with the one photo here and all these different colours. I love paper tearing and that sort of thing. The photo I'm going to use is from my childhood, which I am very thankful for. And this is a photo of my dad, my mum, my grandfather. So this is mum's dad. This is me sitting on his lap, and then my two brothers, which are obviously both older than me. So we had a great time. Mum and Dad came to New Zealand the year before I was born, so I'm the only Kiwi in the group. And Grandpa lived in Australia and he was visiting at this time. So I don't even know where this was taken. I really like the bright colours in it, so I'm going to go with the primary colours, the reds, the yellows and the greens, and see what we can come up with. I also made, as part of this hop for Thankful Thursdays, a commitment to use the stamp of the month from Close to My Heart every week this month. So going back to the sketch, as you can see, there's a little bit of mixed media in the background. So we're going to start with that. I have limited colours of Distress Oxide, so I'm going to use yellow. And starting with my piece of White Daisy as background, I do have a red Distress Oxide, which I'd forgotten about. I haven't used it yet, so we're going to see how these two work as a background squidginess on the White Daisy. So I will get rid of the mat. I tend to keep all these plastic bags that products come in for just this purpose now, which is a technique I saw on another YouTube video when I first started getting into mixed media. So we will see how we go. Okay, I'll speed this up now and voice over the rest of it. Let's see what we come up with. Starting with the mustard seed, which is the yellow, just dabbing it onto my all-purpose mat and then spraying it with water gives you this lovely liquid yellow yumminess, and I can spread that around with my plastic bag onto various parts of the White Daisy. I then do the same procedure with the festive raspberries, but just before I put it onto the White Daisy, I do check the colour against the photo and the other papers that I'm going to use in the layout, and it looks okay, so I go ahead and put it onto the White Daisy and roll it off with some paper towels and clean up everything. And then I need to get this photo a little bit smaller. It's quite a bit bigger than what is in the original sketch, so I'm adapting the sketch to fit it really. So it's a little bit squarer by the time I'm finished, and I will mount it in a couple of ways. The first one I'm going to use is called Irresistible Paper. So watch the magic happen on this as I use my candy apple blending brush with the candy apple ink and just go around the outside, and the blending brush brings out the ink on the background of the paper, leaving the leaves on the foreground all nice and white. And then when I've gone all the way round, I'll actually use a paper towel to rub over the top of them to make the, just to get any residual ink off the colour, off the white parts, and make them shine out a little bit more. You can see them just coming through a little bit clearer when I do that rubbing. The versatility of these papers is just amazing because you can add any colour that you like. So I will just back all of that in a clover green, and that will blend in with the green of the grass. So I'm going an inch wider all the way around each time, and I'm going to mount the photo on an angle, or actually the photo is going to be even with the sides of the clover paper, but the irresistible paper with the red in between is on an angle. So looking back at the sketch, you can see that my photo is quite a bit bigger, so it's not going to be exactly the same. But when I put it onto the page, I then will work out the ripped papers to go behind it. So first of all, I'm using some candy apple to come out the side. And then I've got this piece of gingham from the Daisy pack that came out last year sometime. And I do fiddle with this to make it a little bit wider at the side by bringing it out and then cutting the edge off. And I've got some yellow as well from another pack. I have no idea what the name of it was, sorry, I can't remember. It's so old, been in my stash for a long time, so great to use it up. So that fits in on that side, and then I just want to bring in a little bit more gingham. So referring back to the sketch, I see that there is some that goes all the way along. And when I do that, it will actually give me 3 pieces of gingham, 2 on the right side and 1 on the left. So I just have to be careful when I rip it, that I rip it the right way with the white of the core showing through on the right side. You can see here I'm just deciding whether I've got it the right way or not, and I had it the wrong way, so then get on a roll going the right way so that the white core shows through. So I quite like the way that that brings both sides together, and then I can stick everything together so that it's one piece with this background papers, and then they'll put the photo on top so that we've just got one piece that we can move around and put to one side whilst we finish up the mixed media and any stamping in the background. So once it's all adhered together, I do put it to one side and get my stamps out to do some work on the background that we've already used the Distress Oxides on. But I have an absolute disaster. So I do make a journaling box to cover one disaster, and then I compound it by having a further disaster. So in the end, I throw that piece of white daisy out and start again. So I'm so pleased I had that one piece together that I could move easily and then transfer it onto this new piece, ready to redo the mixed media in the background. So what I was able to do was to just use my pencil to mark the edges of where that main piece will go, and then I only need to apply the mixed media to the areas around the outside. So I think it's actually going to end up better because of my mistake, which is usually the case. It's just a shame that I had to waste a piece of white daisy on the way. So given that you've already seen this process once, I'll go through it quite quickly this time, but it is worth noting that because I've got the main part already finished, I know that I really only want 2 parts to be red to go with that piece of candy apple torn piece on the left. So I've done 2 parts of red to match with that on the right, and then with the mustard seed I'm also doing 2 parts on the left to combine with the one piece of yellow cardstock that's on the right. So once that's finished, I can add some stamps. Now, this stamp of the month has so many different sayings in different fonts and different sizes that you can actually combine them to make really cool little sayings. The first stamp that I'm putting here is a mixture of 2, which says so much gratitude. And then the last one I've putting down is a nice long thin one that will go underneath that just says for so many cherished moments, which just sums up my childhood beautifully as I look back. Then I can put my photo and all its little pieces of cardstock as one in the middle and see where I need to put something else. Now this stamp is massively old. It was actually the first stamp that I ever bought from Close to My Heart. It would be maybe 5 years ago when I was trying really hard to resist stamping, but in the end succumbed because there's just so many different options with it. So family is forever up the top there, and there's also this little heart stamp in the stamp of the month that I can add around the place as well. So just to embellish, I'm going to use some yellow and green things from my die cut sets that came with the Cardstock Carnival last year. So they're shiny on one side and plain and matte on the other. So the shiny side looks really cool, just adding a different texture to the page, and it also brings in a little bit more of that clover in different spots. So I dry fit different things around and audition them in different places until I finally decide where they're going to go, before adding some journaling and then sticking everything down and adding the final embellishments with the black and white dots. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed this video and seen how this page came together. It did have a little oopsie in the middle, but I'm really happy with the final outcome, and it just goes to show that often our mistakes work in our favour in the long run. Do take the time to watch the videos that other people put up, because I am sure you will enjoy what they come up with as well. You'll notice here that at the end I decided a little black frame around that photo would just help make it pop once I had added the black ink with those stamps. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy crafting, and I'll see you next time.